talk about wargaming versus video gaming. I feel like that could.
Okay.
We actually have some. No, we don't have anything to offer, but we could pretend we have something to offer on that one.
We can definitely waffle on it.
We can.
I also think that we should change the intro, and rather than having the slightly jazzy music, we should have the Muppet Show music. But we just replaced the Muppet Show with Hobby Breakfast Show.
Perfect.
This is the Muppet Show with tonight's guest star, Mr.
OT and Onod.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppets.
Hobby Breakfast Show.
It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to raise the curtain.
Hobby Breakfast Show.
Good morning and welcome to the Hobby Breakfast Show, kicking off your mornings monthly with Wargaming Chat. Oh god, that went badly. But we're rolling with it. Your host, as always, this morning are
That's
myself.
not as always.
Oh yeah, no wait. Your host. We're missing one, so it's not as always. Oh, let's just fucking restart. Fucking dreadful. Oh, good morning and welcome to the Hobby Breakfast Show, kicking off your morning with Wargaming Chat once a month. Your hosts, not as always, are myself, Onod, and I'm joined by OT.
Hello.
But Mayor's not here.
He's power gaming.
He is. He's sweating profusely as we talk, playing in a tournament.
He's going to create enough water for the Watcher in the Water to get its full movement in.
It's true. Nice salty water.
Mm.
And as you can probably tell by this release, we fucked up our timing and decided to announce that we were moving to a monthly show
Without planning ahead.
then declare that we would release a new episode on the first Friday of each month without realizing that that would mean that the following week we'd have to release the next episode. So we should have fucking waited till this week to say that we were going to move to it be monthly.
That would make way more sense.
What were we thinking? Oh, for fuck's sake! So this is your first ever monthly episode, which has come out weekly. Oh, we really are idiots. Good. We're going to be talking about why do people wargame when you could video game? Question
Yes.
mark?
Exclamation mark. Red circle.
Yay! Oh dear. Hobby. Oh my goodness. And I've done so much hobby this month. Oh, really, really nailed it. I mean,
Beautiful.
you probably have done a month's worth of hobby. To
I'd
be
probably.
fair,
Yeah.
I think I've painted like 11 hobbits or something. haven't
Yeah, I was about to say, we've actually done a month's worth because it's been a month.
Yes, it really has. So what have I painted? At what point did I?
So the Battle in Brandybucks went in last
Right.
month's episode.
Here are some regular Hobbit militia that are definitely not Battle in Brandybucks. Note that they have no red on them because of my innovative system for telling them apart. Color coding. No one's ever thought of that before. Smart. Yeah, I got this nice like green, which is going to be used for my clone troopers and Yoda.
Nice.
So I get a nice kind of like natural green. So I slapped that on some of my final Hobbit miniatures just to give a bit of variety. It looks really nice. I wish I'd had it for more, but never mind. I then also painted 4 Hobbit archers, the final of the Tookish Hunters, and finally I created some little base things for the traps. Yes. I've decided to not paint the other side because I figured that they're just tokens, right?
Yeah.
And I figured if I put like basing material on top of them, they then wouldn't sit flat when I turn them over.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was like, one, it will be easier to potentially see if they're just little black bases rather than blending in being grassy. And two, they're not actual models, they're tokens, so it doesn't really matter. So that's the decision I went with. Fight me. Basically, what have you done this month?
So I'm trying to work out the timeline because it's been such a long time since we did the last episode. I think I will have done some Rebel Veterans. They probably won't be fully completed in time for this upload, but there's like a heavy machine gun style thing, an emplacement trooper. There's the unit leader, and then there's 4 other troops. And I'll also, I've ordered, because I'm a massive power gamer, Luke's other command cards that I didn't get in the operative Luke box, and they've arrived. I was really hoping to have Leia in my collection by now, but unfortunately, the company I ordered her from didn't give her to me and then sent it back to the warehouse.
Yeah, smart.
So now it's going to be delayed for another 4 days, which means I won't get painted in time to play Onod. So we're going to have to wait a very long time before our first game of Legion gets done.
I mean, I won't have painted my army either, so that's not the thing holding us back. To make you feel better, I want to let you know that I have bought the upgrades card set for Star Wars Legion.
Yeah,
So
I already ordered that.
Yeah, I have all of the sweaty upgrades. It's mostly
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had access to all the force powers and stuff
Yes.
like that. Yes, but that is just £10 a card.
Yeah.
Now I know
Great
what
value.
it feels like playing Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or insert card game. I've run out. And
Poker.
speaking of card games, today we're going to be talking about video games. We both play video games, don't we, OT?
We do. Quite a lot of the time.
We do. Mostly Rocket League.
Oh,
Which long-time viewers of the show will know because
they've heard it in the background.
occasionally you can hear the sound of a goal celebration echoing very quietly in our audio.
It's mostly the opponent's goal celebration. It's
Yeah.
really ours.
One of us is bored and playing it whilst recording, usually Mare. But yes, we play video games. You probably more
Also play video games.
I was going to say you're probably more of a video gamer than you are a war gamer, at least like, traditionally.
Yes.
Although you have really fucking gone hard into war gaming the last.
I really have. I mean,
yeah,
I
I think
think
you're more of a war gamer than me now, to be honest.
I'm a more what was it it said on Sebastian's website, like I'm more prolific. There we go. I'm a more prolific painter. Yes. You definitely painted at a higher quality, but I definitely painted a higher quality. No, I got that the wrong way around. Quantity. Oh, kill me.
You said quality twice. But if we both paint at a high quality, who paints at a high quantity?
Oh no.
I mean, I think that you probably could paint a high quality now.
Yes.
I think it would just take you longer.
Yes.
In that sense.
I'm not patient enough to do it properly, I don't think.
But I think you now have the requisite tools that if you really wanted to, you could. So, because I think when you first start off, you look at some stuff people do and you're like, I don't know how the fuck to do that.
Yeah.
But once you've got the basics down, like really, if you really wanted to spend like several hours on one miniature, you probably could do the highlighting and blending. Because it's not that much more different than a lot of painting. It's just you'd make mistakes, have to redo it, and it would take forever. And that's, like, I think, the main thing. Whilst when you've been doing it for longer, you're a little bit more confident.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. But we've both played video games for ages before.
Yeah.
Before we war games, we video games.
Yeah.
Whilst we've war gamed, we've video games. And we still do war game and video game. How many times can I say this in the same sentence?
I don't know. Quality.
So what we're really going to be talking about, though, is why the fuck we spend
hundreds of pounds on little plastic men
when we could play fucking Total War or something.
Yeah,
which is essentially the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to read a massive rule book.
Yeah,
you don't have to spend hours preparing it, and you can play it at any time. So from a purely gaming perspective, video games, they're not better, they're different, but they could be perceived to be better, I think, by people who don't wargame.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is where the conversation is going to hopefully stem from.
Who can say?
We'll just waffle with something else otherwise. I don't know where really to start. Why do you wargame, OT? In under 30 seconds, please.
Crippling sense of FOMO.
That's definitely why there. Wargame.
That's where.
It's that crippling feeling that you haven't bought every game possibly you could. Oh, for fuck's sake.
I don't know. I think initially I wasn't that big on painting, but I think especially more recently, as I've practiced it more and tried different things and new techniques, there is the satisfaction that comes from painting a model really well. I think is really up there in terms of a positive feeling to do with gaming. I think computer gaming is maybe more instant gratification, whereas I think with wargaming there's much more of a process, and I think actually when you go to a tournament and you see your army opposite your opponent's and your opponent's like, oh, that mini looks really cool, you're like, yeah that, and I think that's quite a nice feeling. Whereas I think computer gaming is maybe slightly less wholesome as well. There's definitely not as positive an environment as with wargaming. So I don't know. I think
you're definitely more likely to be called I'll keep that out.
Just
Well, maybe I wait. Maybe I'll just fucking
because it's true. Yeah, and I don't know. I think for me, the process of wargaming is so cool. I really enjoy list building. I find it really satisfying, and all the different combinations of units you could have and how you can make it themey, or what combinations of little synergies that can go well together. And I'm yet to find a video game that really does that properly, and that kind of feeling. I really like a roguelike game like Slay the Spire or something like that, where you build a deck and you have to try and find these synergies, but it's definitely not as satisfying as I've found wargaming to be.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that we can kind of unpick then, and that was definitely longer than 30 seconds, so I'm afraid that I've had to have cut most of that. But,
it just stops at 30 seconds after you said
it just stops after I say it just the podcast ends.
Outro music plays.
I never return again. That's it. Should we start then with, I think, one of the main things, which is the key difference, the hobby.
Yes.
The customization and the sense of ownership that I think will do. I think that those are some of the key areas that the hobby side of things fits into. And I've got a few interesting takes on this, which is, I think...
I mean, you say they're interesting, but they are your takes.
Okay. I have some mediocre takes on this. And I think... and it's definitely not going to be an original thought, because none of my thoughts are. I am a massive fucking... I can't think of the word. Yeah, thank you. God, I'm going to have to do a lot of work with that, aren't I? It really fucking goes to shit when Bear's on. I don't know what it is.
It's just Mayor's bored. Like, just it was when we played the game last week, and he was like, "It's better for everybody if we finish this quickly." And I was like, "Okay."
Mayor keeps us honest and keeps us on topic. That's why it works. Personally, though, I think that there is a large element to which I like building my army because I feel like I'm getting like customization.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're like my take on something, and I think that's a big element of why I personally like it. However, I do think it's interesting that we tend to gravitate towards games in very established universes, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, we want to play Middle Earth and we want it to be the characters and the universe that we have read about, that we have seen on film. I guess Legion is very similar to that. And then obviously anything historical, like I want it to not necessarily be 100% accurate because I don't have the time of day to, fucking paint exactly the correct uniform because, oh my God, so boring. But I want it to like have a feeling of the actual historical time period. And I think the weird thing is that you therefore really don't end up with much creativity.
No.
Because a lot of my painting is trying to emulate what I've seen. So I think this is like a slightly confusing paradox where I think that I am getting more customization, but actually I am painting it kind of like how a video game would interpret it as well.
Yeah.
So is it to do with that, or is it something else?
I think it's, but then even if you're trying to replicate something from the movie, it's still your interpretation of it, and it's still like what you want it to look like. And I think it's also the sense that like nobody else's armies is going to be quite like yours. Like everyone will probably have a slightly different list. Everybody will probably have a slightly different technique for painting it, different basing, stuff like that. Like, and I still maintain there is something really something really satisfying about having a physical model. Like I like reading like a physical book rather than a Kindle for something or something like that. And like I think having those models out on the desk in front of you rather than on tabletop sim, for instance, I think that's a really big difference.
You like that tactile element, which
yeah.
Something else you said, which I think is really interesting. List building, customization, 100% agree. Yeah. Any game I come across where I have to take a set amount of models, I just instantly turn off for some reason. Yeah. So Warhammer undershirt or whatever it's called, undergarments.
Corpse.
I think the models are really cool. I think it's a really cool idea if it's like partly a card game, partly a miniatures game. It's quite cheap, but you can only use the specific rule sets of the box. There's no customization other than an element of deck building. And I suppose I'm not really like a card game player, so that doesn't massively interest me. And I think that if I could customize who was in my band, I think I'd be really into that. But I'm just completely turned off by it because I'm like, there's no customization. And another game which I used to play but have not yet played the new edition of is Kill Team, where again, it used to be that you built a list and it felt like I had ownership. But now, because every faction essentially is you can take 10 guys, and you're kind of like, well, if I can only take 10 guys, I'm obviously going to take the optimal 10 guys.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that just doesn't appeal to me. It appeals to Mayor. Mayor loves it. Mayor is really into the new edition of Kill Team because he thinks like the gameplay is better. But I think I'm willing to have a shit experience with the actual rules if it fulfills something else for me.
Yeah. No, okay. I can understand that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Another thing on the customization front, like I think it's one of the guys from Last Alliance of Noobs and Men. He's been painting Rivendell with all like leopard print cloaks and stuff.
I have seen
and
that.
like that's not my cup of tea. Like I don't think I'd ever do that. But like I can appreciate it. Having the physical models then gives you the capacity to do something that like nobody else would ever think of doing. Like
You have the freedom to do it, don't you?
yeah, and like if that's what you want, even if like it's not what everyone else would traditionally do, like I think it's really cool that wargaming gives you the opportunity to do that. And like while I think there is definitely a tendency to make it look like the movies and the films, because that's maybe what you're attached to and what drew you in the first place, like if you do want to reimagine it, the fact you can do that is definitely a real positive of wargaming.
Yeah, definitely true. So that is definitely something that wargaming has over video gaming. Video gaming just cannot match. Like I've played video games where you can build your list, where you can tinker with it. I've played video games where you can like change the color of your unit. I've played video games where you like hards, like you play one character and you learn them and you like try and master like that one character, competitive, etc. It never quite hits that same note, does it?
No.
Like it's not as satisfying creating your Rocket League car skin.
No.
Like that you can look unique and you can be proud of how it looks and you can like the way it looks, but it's not as satisfactory. I assume because you haven't put the effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably there is that sort of, you have to put effort into something, you have to invest in it, don't you, to actually get it to look good and get it to be yours.
I think then, so to counter this, moving away from benefits of the hobby side of stuff and customization, something video games probably definitely does have in its favor is ease of playing against another person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go on.
Yeah. So like just the accessibility of just literally being able to get her, like I reckon I pick up a lot of hours on Rocket League just from like sitting down. I've got like 20-30 minutes while I don't know my dinner's in the oven or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'll run some training or something or play some casual. And like you just can't do that in wargaming. Like maybe you could do some painting, but even then, like unless like you do what I do and you literally have all your paints on your desk ready to go, it's not as easy as just sitting down and whacking out a few games of Rocket League or whatever.
Yeah, and some people do find painting like very relaxing and will like literally do it every evening. I tend to go through moods where I'm like really into painting and I'm really like devoted to it, and I'll do it every night. And then other times I'm like, I just want to watch TV. And I don't want to do something which does take effort. So there is that. Do you think though that the experience of playing a video game is as fulfilling as playing a war game? Because I feel mixed on this.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody with like 1,500 hours or something in Civ, probably more than that if I'm being brutally honest, and like now over 1,000 hours in CS:GO, like I think what I've really found really interesting about our progression through Rocket League is like it sort of comes in like peaks and troughs. Like we stay quite static for a while, and then suddenly, for whatever reason, we'll have a couple of days or a week of like really good form. We'll jump up a div or two, settle there, and then carry on and carry on and carry on. I don't know. I think, I mean, it's all completely made up, isn't it? Like it's all sort of boundaries you impose upon yourself. What like good means in the game. Like if I'm now champ 1 in 2s, for instance. Like had you told me I'd be like champ 1 in 2s at the moment. Like if you told me that in like I don't know November or October or something, I've been like, wow, that's sick. Like we used to get really annoyed when we played against champ 1 players. But I still don't know if it's super satisfying. Like there's still definitely games where I still get super tilted, and like it's maybe not as fulfilling.
Yeah, with multiplayer video games, I think that there are the occasional moments where you just suddenly it clicks and it improves, and you have those like few like we've had with Rocket League, those like evenings where we've just absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
And like previous games we've played, like Awesome Noughts, where like it just clicks and you are just like, rocking as a team. You're doing so well. And then like with single player games, there are definitely those games where the story's just so good, or the gameplay is just so good that like the hook really like gets you and you just like have such a great time. But I think it is more of a fleeting sensation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think when I've painted my Ents, like every time I put them out on the table, I get like that feeling of like satisfaction. I'm like, I painted these, like I put in the work to do this, and now I'm going to be able to use them. And you know, you lose, you win. Sometimes losing is a bit, you know, there are situations I think in wargaming, like I don't think it is true necessarily that you have a good time, win or lose all the time. I think it's a bit more dependent on who you're playing than just to say that of any game. But I think video games, it's like you lose and you're like, I'll just play another one. Like you lose in Rocket League and it's like you either log off or you're just like another one. And it becomes like you just kind of like, it just becomes a blur. Whilst I think in wargaming, it's more like you reflect on it and like you take away the positives, don't you, with the negatives.
But then it's also like, I think wargaming maybe has a slightly broader scope for what can be like satisfying. Because I think a lot of what video games is about like your skills, your progression, whether that's through a story or whether that's through like multiplayer ranks or whatever. Like there is almost always some element of comparison, whether that's something you make up yourself or against literal ranks against other people. Whereas I think wargaming, I think if you really wanted to, you could purely treat it on a hobby basis, and then you just go to tournaments to, you know, meet people, have some fun, stuff like that. Maybe there isn't that need for that comparison against other things. But then the flip side to that is some people do treat wargaming as perhaps the way like most people treat video gaming, in that like they want to do well, they want to win games, they want to go to the big tournaments and stuff like that, and they do perceive the value of the game and themselves within the game as to like their rank and how many games they won that weekend. And
I think this is like where you get your value, isn't it? And that's something we can talk about in a second. But it is interesting, like I probably play maybe 20 games a year, I'd say roughly, of like various war games. You know, it probably, you know, fluctuates a little bit in a kind of non-COVID world. See, COVID, we did all right to get like maybe 3 in, but that kind of thing. Video games, I'm playing like Jesus, like I don't know, it probably averages out at like an hour a day at least. Of like gaming. Does that value from video games outweigh? I suppose what I'm not accounting is like time painting and stuff. Maybe we'll come back to that question. I think what you were saying though, it is interesting. Some people will like smash out, like they will just compulsively play a war game. Like especially people who are like really big into like some of the really popular ones where they can just get opponents like 40k Age of Sigmar, and they're playing like, you know, multiple games a week. I'm not sure I could do that.
But then it's just because you don't feel the compulsion to. Like, I think, again, it's what you want to get from the hobby. And I think it has been interesting with like a few 40k players coming over to SBG. Like, I think a few of them have brought a mindset that comes with 40k of like, you need to practice to get good at the game. You need to run scenarios. Like, I didn't quite have that perception of SBG before. Maybe there are a few players who are like that. But it does seem now at tournaments, like the really good players have practiced all the little scenarios, and especially if there's like custom scenarios for a tournament, they'll have played them all through before they arrive, so they'll know what's kind of best and worst to do in each situation.
Which is, you know, slightly different, I think, to how a lot of people do, which is they build a list based on fluff, and then they arrive at a scenario and go, okay, in the like 10 minutes prior to them actually rolling dice, they're like, how am I going to make this list work for this scenario? And I guess you always have a certain element of this is how it's going to work. I think most people still within a game like Middle-earth are probably thinking more along the lines of, is this reflecting a moment in the films, or is this reflecting miniatures I like, rather than thinking, have I got the perfect balance to win? And obviously some factions just naturally create a balance. Others you have to force it a little bit more.
Because we were talking about the difference between like the US and UK meta. Like, I think the UK meta compared to most, as in an SPG, compared to most metas, is actually relatively fluffy. Whereas, like, we were looking at some lists from like American tournaments, and like they're not fluffy at all. Like, you're seeing a lot of like slightly wacky, convenient allies and stuff like that just isn't super themey.
It's just like listening to like podcasts from people over in North America, like Canada, US. And they're all like talking about like, oh, you need to have something to counter like terror and stuff. Because like so many people bring evil armies with terror, because obviously terror is very useful. It gives you control over the game by making people do courage tests. But that's not even something over here that I spend any time thinking of. Like I wouldn't think twice in a list about, do I have good courage and stuff to counter terror? Because to be honest, I very rarely
come up against.
I'm not playing at like obviously the top level where you want to think about it, but I think it's fair to say that in the UK you can rock up at a tournament and expect to be playing against a different faction every single game. For the most...
apart from the doubles tournament we went to, which was one of the most stale metas I've ever seen in my life.
Unless you are going to a very niche tournament which has attracted a very competitive crowd, you are going to be running things like Dragon Emperor, Bjornings, etc. But if you are going to a smaller scale tournament, everyone will just bring something fluffy, and you just kind of roll dice.
And even like the very competitive lists are still pretty fluffy. Like there's I think there's not much over here like actively trying to exploit the game, because the reason the Impossible Allies thing came in was stuff like the Shade with Goblin Town and stuff like that, which just made it like so oppressive.
And like that's the advantage of like Legendary Legions, right? It like you to play fluffy.
It's true.
Value then.
Oh, I mean, video gaming's better value. Surely. Surely. Especially Payday 2.
Payday 2. Oh, I've had many a fun hour on Payday 2.
Do you remember when we were waiting for it to install and then we never played it?
Well worth the £7.50 or whatever I spent on it.
Cheaper, twice the price.
I'm going to go on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find the cheapest video game content. So Amazon, it's probably the Switch is going to be the cheapest, right?
God, my cat's being so needy. I'm home for like 2 days and she's just climbed onto my lap.
I feel like that's good though. That's like that's quite flattering.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could buy a Switch Lite, which is the one that you can't dock to the TV, for 188. But let's say I'm feeling bougie, and I go for the Switch OLED model, and I'm going to get the bundle with the new Legend of Zelda. £319.
Huge.
Technically, I don't need a TV because I could play in handheld.
Yep.
But let's say,
and you can always steal a TV. They're pretty easy to steal.
It's true, actually. But let's say I buy a cheapish TV that's still big enough that and flat screen. Let's say 100, 150 roughly.
Yes.
So the buying cost is
$450.
450. Let's say 450. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously games going to be more expensive. But let's say, for example, I'm on a tight budget. So I'm going to predominantly play things like Fortnite, Rocket League, free to play games where I am at no disadvantage for being free to play. I've got really good AAA Zelda, 10 out of 10 reviews, very, very good game. And over the course of the, couple of years that I'm going to be playing the Switch, maybe pick up 5 other games and drip it out, so that I maybe end up spending over the course of its lifetime £750, let's say. And for that, I'm getting like a solid few years of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there are other routes, like we play PC gaming, so it's a little bit more expensive because you're going to buy a PC and stuff. But we probably play video games a little bit more than the average person who's picked up a Switch.
The casuals.
The casuals, exactly. The filthy casuals. Ugh. Disgusting. How cheap is it to get into wargaming? Let's first of all go through the scenario that most people probably go through, which is they're going to start with Games Workshop.
Yeah.
They are probably going to either be a teenager or in their 20s. I think that's when most people start. They're either going to be one of the people who's hooked right away, stops playing whilst they're at university, and then they have a reasonable chance of coming back. Us.
This is us.
Or they were like a nerd, but for whatever reason didn't get into it as a teenager, but they now, have disposable income, and they meet some colleagues who play it, and they're like, "What the heck? This
is amazing."
This has always been something that's interested me. They're probably going to play 40k.
Yeah,
because I think balance probability. Your first game is most people. I think not necessarily as a total average, but I think the biggest proportion would be 40k.
Yeah.
Let's say they get the starter box, £110.
Is this the one that's in stock or not in stock?
This is the one that's in stock. It's about to be replaced. So this is the Necron versus Space Marine. So it's probably going to go up like maybe a 10 or 20 quid when they do the new edition, because it inevitably does. So they get £110. Obviously, that buys you some grey plastic.
It does.
You're going to want some glue, because push fit without glue is still a terrible idea. So you've bought £5 worth of glue, let's say. You've bought the starter paint set from Games Workshop because you didn't realise that other paints existed.
Yeah,
that's another £27.50. So you're looking at under 150 quid to start. So the buying cost is way cheaper, actually.
Yeah.
And I think that's the interesting thing about wargaming. Everyone says it's very expensive. The buying cost is actually a lot cheaper.
It depends on your scale, doesn't it? Well, like, it can very quickly get pricey.
That's what I'm going to get into. But just to start playing, you are spending about half the cost of a Switch. Yeah. I think the issue comes from what experience you get for that.
Yes.
If I've bought a Switch and I have Legend of Zelda, the new Legend of Zelda, that's a game that you could, if you are really into it, put hundreds of hours into.
Yes.
And if you're really into Warhammer 40k, that starter box is not going to get you very far.
No.
You're going to have to buy a lot more. And I think that's where it's like the value proposition comes in. Wargaming starts off cheaper, but ends up becoming more expensive. Yeah. Whilst video gaming starts off more expensive, but ends up in the long run being cheaper, unless you like compulsively buy every game that ever comes out, in which case you're a lunatic.
Yeah. Just wait for a Steam sale like a normal person.
Or you professionally play video games.
In which case, good for you.
Yeah, you made it. Well done.
Can you carry us on Rocket League, please?
Squishy? Is that you? Squishy fucking watches the Hobby Breakfast Show. He doesn't have time for that shit. He's got to practice.
Yeah.
The guy's got to fucking sweat Rocket League all day.
I don't know if he does. He just seems pretty chill about it. To be fair, I'm sure he does. But it's when like watching his videos, like he's so chill while he's doing this just insane stuff in the background, and it's just like, yeah, I guess after like 12,000 hours, you probably are a bit more chill.
From what I've seen from interviews, Rocket League players, like professionals, will play like 8 hours a day as if it's their job.
Yeah,
They
as they should. To be fair, if it's their job, I suppose. Like,
pump hours in,
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
The real question then is it worth the money comparatively? And I think that you can't really answer that question objectively, can you?
No. And they're just. I mean, I was about to say they're fundamentally different products, which I don't think is actually true. They are different products and they are different propositions. Like with Wargaming, you're going to have to be more patient, and it's going to take longer to maybe get the feeling of satisfaction.
Yeah.
But once you have it, because you have a physical thing and it's something you can use over and over again, like I think that's where the value comes in. And also, like, I mean, it's not that, you're going to make profit from selling it on necessarily, but that you do then have something that you can, once you're done with it, you could give to your mates, or if you want to try and sell it on, you can sell it on. Like it is a physical thing that you can then do stuff with.
Yeah, it probably retains its value slightly better than old video games. Maybe not initially, but over the course of
Yeah. When the production run stops on like old SPG models, if you want to make a buck, like just hoover up a load of limited run models.
I guess it depends if they're very desirable, isn't it?
Yeah.
An old video game could be 50p in some bargain bin in a second-hand, or it could be like 40 quid.
Yeah.
It's Pokemon.
Yeah, the original
cartridge or something. So yeah. Overall, do you think you prefer video gaming or wargaming?
I don't know. I think in the last 2 years, I think I've preferred wargaming. I think the entire rest of my life, I preferred video gaming. I think maybe that's too general a statement. I think there is quite a mindful, relaxing aspect, at least for me, to wargaming. Like I find it really, especially the painting stuff, I find it really good to just switch off my brain for a bit. Whereas I think often in a computer game, I am trying to win or play in a way that's optimal, and that does inherently make it a bit more stressful. But there are also video games that can be very relaxing. So maybe that's not strictly true. I think it's hard to know what I'll do in 5 years time or whatever, whether I'll still be because I find it very hard to believe I won't be playing any computer games, but I could believe that I maybe might have I might not have done as much wargaming as I have in the last 2 years. Maybe it'll slow down a bit, but yeah, it's tricky to say.
Yeah, I think I enjoy the idea of wargaming more.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether I actually enjoy it more in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I imagine I enjoy more.
Yes.
But I don't know when I'm actually standing at a table rolling dice if I'm actually having more fun.
Mm.
I'm not sure whether I've my brain has tricked me. Do I act is it actually as fun playing a game of Middle-earth SPG as it was playing Halo 3 the first time?
No.
No,
but then I think that's a slightly unfair example, because I think Halo 3 is possibly one of the best games I've definitely I've ever played. Maybe one of the best games I've ever.
You want me to choose a more average video game? Surely if I'm saying Middle-earth SPG is the best war game I've ever played, I should be comparing it to some
maybe
game experiences.
Maybe. I think. Oh, I don't know. I think wargaming gives a more positive experience overall, but the highs and lows of Rocket League just.
Wargaming is definitely more wholesome.
Yes, it is for sure, and you get to meet more people who are like-minded, which I think is harder to do through video games, and I think that is an underrated aspect.
Yeah, whenever people say they've met people in video gaming that they're friends with, you have to be pretty hardcore into a community for that to be true.
Yeah.
You've got to be playing 10 hours of World of Warcraft a day, and joining a
guild,
random Discord of a load of people you haven't met, and taking that plunge, which may end badly but has ended well for you. Whilst I think with wargaming, because you're in a physical place, you can kind of suss out more easily the people there who you're gonna get on with.
Yeah, it's true. And who you might not get on with.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I enjoy and spend more time thinking about wargaming currently, but there have definitely been periods where in my life I've spent more time thinking and doing video gaming.
Yeah.
I think basically the conclusion is that they go hand in hand.
I mean, someone who plays war games is like very disproportionately likely, I imagine, to also play a computer game. Like,
I imagine so, unless they're like of an older generation of war.
It's true. But yeah,
if you're under 40 and you play wargamings, you have or do play video games.
Yes.
Yeah.
And probably a video game that links to the war game you play. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people who play lots of 40k also play a lot of like 40k related games.
You can't think of one, can you?
No, I don't know any.
Space Marine.
I was going to say Space Marine. Space Hulk.
That's a board game, but I think
no,
it has been turned into a video game.
Yeah, it has. Lewis and Ben from the Oxcast played it on stream.
Oh, there you go.
A while ago. That was very wholesome.
Dawn of War, Mayor's favourite game.
Yeah. I heard Payday 2 was his favourite game.
It's everyone's favourite game.
Yeah. Go buy it now.
I especially like the level where you
get paid on a day.
Yes. That must be what it's about, right?
Yeah. It's like a real life simulator. It just represents the crushing grind of late stage capitalism.
It really does. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Right. We need to fill some more time.
Do we?
Well, we don't have to, but it's currently going to come in at under an hour, and I feel like our viewers have paid good money. It lasts longer.
We could do news. Has there been any news?
No.
Okay.
Bearing in mind, we recorded the last one less than a week ago.
Okay. What could we talk about? What's a nice short, sharp topic?
Oh,
if you could go out for dinner with any two characters from the Lord of the Rings universe, who would they be and why?
This is a fantastic question.
Thank you. Believe it or not, I didn't pre-prepare it.
From the Lord of the Rings universe, as in the wider expanded universe, or just from specific
books? Let's start with the books, and then we can expand it to like Eru.
Okay. Am I hosting the dinner?
Oh, do you have to cook? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So you're hosting. But you will have someone to help you, so you don't have to do it all by yourself. Okay. Somebody could like keep an eye on the oven while you were making small talk.
Okay, it's good to establish these ground rules. Who would I invite?
Yeah. Bearing in mind, they might also bring their significant other.
Okay, so they're allowed a +1.
They're allowed a plus.
Okay, and how many am I allowed to invite again? Sorry.
So any two, but they might bring if they have a significant other. They might. So like if you invited Aragorn, he might bring Legolas rather than Arwen.
Wow, that's a ship I wasn't expecting. I think Denna falls out straight away. Bad.
Yeah. Any tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's borderline traumatic.
I don't want that to fucking scar me for life again.
Yeah.
I mean Gandalf. Come on.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think he might be quite extra.
That's why I want him there, though.
Okay.
I want him.
Maybe should we expand it to actually any three? Because I feel like two isn't really a dinner party, is it?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I want Gandalf to loudly and annoyingly clean his pipe while sitting.
Right. Yeah. And it'll focus on him for like a minute straight with no dialogue.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want him to converse with me. I just want his presence.
Okay.
No, I think Gandalf would be fucking sick.
Okay.
I imagine that me and Gandalf could smoke a pipe, get on, have a wee beverage. Okay. God, I don't know. I don't want to I feel I want to pick people because they'd be good to have a party with, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
Sting.
Yeah, because I think Merry and Pippin are like an option, but I also think they might be a bit obnoxious.
I think Treebeard.
Okay.
I think that
What kind of house are you living in?
he didn't specify that. It could
Okay.
be outside. We could be in a marquee.
Okay, so it's a barbecue.
I feel like I want an Ent there. I like it.
Okay, not Quick Beam.
If you're going to pick an Ent, well, Treebeard's been around. He's been around longer than.
It's
Quick
true.
Beam.
Young Master Gandalf.
Yeah, Quick Beam's only like a few hundred years old. You know.
Yeah, imagine.
I want someone who's literally been alive for almost as long as the entire universe.
Okay, perfect.
And I now have 2 characters who tick that box.
Yeah.
Neither of them are going to bring their significant other, though, unless Treebeard's found his wife, which I'm assuming is
highly unlikely.
Just come to my house / marquee for a meal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've covered the 2 kind of like that I have a deep conversation with. So the final one would just be who's going to make the party fun.
Mm-hmm.
And who would make the party fun? I feel like you've got to have a hobbit there.
Yeah. But Merry and Pippin would just be so annoying.
I quite like Merry and Pippin. I feel like we could vibe.
Okay.
Cool.
I think if you invite one of them, you'd probably get both. So you can probably have Merry and Pippin if you wanted them as your pair.
Hobbits are quite boozy as well.
Yeah, they're definitely. I could see you guys like having some cider or some mead or something.
Yeah, and as I serve it in pints, they would.
Yeah. It comes in pints.
Exactly. So if I invite Pippin, he brings Merry plus 1.
So it's 1. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'd do that then. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds quite fun.
I think that'd be great because they fucking love Treebeard.
They do.
Gandalf kind of gets on with them, although he finds Pippin annoying.
Yeah. There might be a bit of an argument later in the evening when they've all had a bit to drink. I think that
has the makings of a great party. I'm being honest.
Okay. Right, interesting.
Well, what about you then? Come on.
I don't really know. My instant reaction was Faramir because I think Faramir is just a really nice guy. But then I don't know if he'd be that fun because he'd bring Eowyn, to be fair.
He's a nice guy, but he's also fucking very melancholy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Like, he'd be a bit of a downer.
Yeah, him and Eowyn together might not be the most fun.
That is like the most depressing combo in Middle Earth, I think. I suppose post War of the Ring, they're all
right. They probably lighten up a bit because they have kids, don't they? I think they have kids.
They do,
yeah.
They do.
I was tempted by like Sam and Rosie. That would be quite fun, I think.
Okay,
but then they've got kids. I don't think they bring their kids. They'll find a childminder.
Yeah, they get Frodo after them.
Yeah, Frodo's not coming. I'm sorry. Like he was vital to the story, but he'd just be a massive downer.
He's a prick, isn't he? if you're inviting fucking Faramir and Eowyn, the only way to make that more depressing is bringing Frodo. Frodo would just sit there, go like,
wound.
This would have been so much better before I fucking got stabbed by an Asgul.
Yeah,
and realised that living in the Shire shit.
Yeah, bit depressing.
Yeah. So you've gone for Faramir.
I think I'm vetoing Faramir and Eowyn. I don't think that's much fun. Sam and Rosie are coming.
You're attracting their invite. You're throwing a lit match into the post box.
To
make its way. Yeah.
Is that a Peep Show reference?
It is.
Okay. Yeah.
Only the finest British culture references for the hobby.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got Sam and Rosie, and then I need to think of 2 more people. I don't really want Aragorn. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a bit harsh. I quite like Aragorn, but then he's quite serious.
Nah, Aragorn can be a bit of a bloke. When he's like in the books with Bilbo, he's actually quite fun. He helps Bilbo make stupid songs up.
I'll invite Gimli. Gimli's fun.
Gimli, good choice.
Yeah, I like Gimli. Yeah, because he'd be. Oh, I'm assuming this is. Should we say this is like post War of the Ring? So he's glittering caverns. Does he have a wife? I can't remember. I don't think he does.
I don't think so. No. I think Legolas would be Gimli's +1 if anything.
Okay, so do I get both of them if I invite him? Because I don't really want Legolas. I think Legolas is a bit smug.
You get the bro.
Okay, fair enough. So I've got Sam, Rosie, Gimli, and Legolas. Oh, this is going to be weird. To be fair, a drinking contest would be fun.
You win that too.
I don't know. Legolas smashes it in. Is it Return of the King where they have that? I think it's at the beginning of Return of the King.
I reckon you drink Legolas under the table.
Okay, interesting.
His fingers would be tingling, and you'd be fucking 200 pints in.
Yeah. I was about to say AMA, but I don't think that's a good idea.
There's not really a bit of a boozy legend in the books, though, isn't he?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't want it to be like, you know, purely alcohol based. I was hoping for like some conversation, like some relatively wholesome moments.
I'm not sure you've invited the best characters for conversation.
Maybe I need like a.
You've invited a gardener and Gimli.
Okay. Who else? Who else would suit?
So you're looking for like an intellectual to...
No, but like a fun intellectual, not like Elrond.
Elrond would be fun, I reckon.
Elrond could...
No, I'm not sure, actually.
No, I'm not sure about that.
Maybe like Celeborn.
Ugh.
He's quite fun in the books, though. It's only in
the film.
It's only in the Rings of Power where he's just a terrible shit.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of Celeborn. I'm thinking of
Gilgalad.
No. The Smith one.
What?
The Smith.
The Smith? Oh, what's his name? Oh, it's really annoying. I forgot. Celebrimbor.
Because Celebrimbor in the books is like a fucking young elf who give any shits and just fucks off to make his own kingdom, and he's actually quite cool.
Yeah.
Whilst in the Rings of Power, he's like your neighbor in the suburbs.
Yeah, just a bit creepy.
Just a really fucking boring guy who works in marketing, you know.
Yeah. Nothing against people who work in marketing, by the way. That's Onod's opinion and not the opinion of the Hobby Breakfast podcast.
I hate people who work in marketing.
Okay, well there we go.
Marketing, please could you unsubscribe?
Subscribe.
I actually have quite a good friend who works.
Not anymore.
He doesn't watch. It's fine.
Okay, who else? I need one more. I haven't thought about any evil people, but I suppose it's not really a vibe, is it?
Oh, I didn't really think of that.
Yeah.
You could invite Lurtz.
Mouth of Sauron.
Manflesh. That would be Mayor, who, as we know, is famously pro-cannibalism.
We'd just be all Urukai.
Lurtz.
Maher.
Or maybe Vrasku. He's not a real character, though, is he?
No, they made him up.
That's Mayor's everyone, by the way. That's
yeah. He just texted us. You wouldn't have heard, but he did actually just text us.
He joined the call briefly. We just cut it out.
Yeah. Oh, Tom Bombadil.
Oh,
there you go.
You're cool.
Yeah, and he'd bring Goldberry as well.
Yeah. Do you not think that he's just like so far out of it though that like would you even have an interesting conversation with him, or does he just get bored and fuck off halfway through the party?
Yeah, I mean that's what people do at most of my parties anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of used to it.
I have been to one of your parties.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else really. No. Bill the Pony. Oh,
would Sam bring Bill the Pony over Rosie?
That'd be awkward.
I think he might. You have to have plenty of carrots ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cute. Barlam and Butterbur. Oh, he could make cocktails. I bet he knows how to make cocktails.
Maybe Butterbur is the person you have in the kitchen to give you a hand.
Yeah.
He's like a freebie.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't think he'd have much interesting to say, though.
No, I don't think
he's literally just like a landlord from medieval Britain, isn't he? He's like, he doesn't really fucking understand like who the fuck Aragorn is. He's just like, he's just this fucking guy who wanders around. he's probably not important. He basically thinks Aragorn is a hobo. That's the level of Butterbur's knowledge.
Yeah,
man.
There you go. So,
who would you invite from Star Wars? But you're allowed one Star Wars character, but they come to the Lord of the Rings meal.
Okay, so they have to fit in.
This is like a bonus.
Yoda and Tom Bombadil would be such a vibe.
Yeah, that would be good.
Just completely unintelligible. I feel like young Lando would be cool. He seems like a lot of fun. Like a pretty smooth guy. Nobody else really. I don't want any. I don't want any droids. I don't really particularly. I think the Jedi would be a bit up themselves. I'm not really about that. Yeah, I'll go. Just because I think Yoda and Tom Bombadil would be a vibe. I'll go Yoda.
You just said you didn't want a Jedi, and you picked.
Yeah, and then I immediately retracted that.
Jedi.
But I think a lot of them are quite smug. But I think Yoda isn't particularly smug, even though he is. He's just weird. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say like Ewoks or something, but I think they'd actually be quite annoying.
You wouldn't be able to understand what they say either.
Yeah.
Who would I pick to come to a party with
Treebeard, Gandalf,
Merry and
Pippin?
I reckon Sheev Palpatine would be quite a vibe. Just have him,
Unlimited.
yeah, but like in his like senator. I want Gandalf on one side cleaning out his pipe, and then I want Sheev turning to me and going,
Natural.
And have you ever
heard the story? The half-plagueis wise.
And it's just them on either side, and then Merry and Pippin are dancing on the table in front of me, singing the Green song. And Treebeard's probably asleep.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of important grounds today.
Yeah. You're welcome, listeners.
Yeah.
Put in the comments below, who would you invite to your crossover party?
In the comments below, would you rather fight my guest or AT's guest in a shed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a big shed. It's like an aircraft hangar because you'd need room for Sheev to like float around and Treebeard to stand up.
It's the airport from Captain America.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
You face off. You get one of the groups on your side, and you're
versus the event.
The other
the event. Yeah.
And you will verse either me or OT, depending on that. We're like your opposite number with our team.
Great.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing who people pick. No one's going to comment. No one's made it this far. Oh, well. We already established them, wasn't they, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's time to go then. Cue Muppet Show music.
The Hobby Breakfast Show.
Wow. It's really been
content.
We'll be back next week, probably with Mayor's tournament review, maybe.
Yeah.
He's got round to it. It may be an army overview. It may be Star Wars Legion. We may have put out one of those things midweek because we accidentally made too much content.
Who can say?
We have very clearly established a plan. That is all we need to know. Say goodbye, AT.
Bye.
And it's also goodbye from me, Onod. I don't know why I said that so weird. Why are we still going?
You need to click the stop recording button. You're in charge.
Oh yeah, shit. Bye everyone.